right, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, fellow Pandemonium travelers. This is Seattle Pandemonium Shutdown Day 125 by my count. And oh boy, you know, increasingly I found that I don't really even want to talk about the coronavirus. I know cases are up places. I don't know. As far as the Pandemonium shutdown, I mean, the city, you know, Seattle is still shut down. A lot of places are still shut down. I mean, they're slowly kind of coming back. I mean, part of it, again, the point of these videos is that I want to mash them up like, you know, 100 days, maybe if I keep doing them, you know, more like 200 days, and show the density of the traffic, you know, because it is absurd how much people stopped traveling on the roads. Just crazy. But anyways, more topical things. So I just saw something about a court ordering Trump to release his tax returns, but then they're like not or something. I don't know. I swear the thing that is the series of nothing burgers around Trump it's just telling me that there's gonna be stuff in his tax returns that's questionable, but then other stuff that is par for the course for, you know, wealthy real estate, you know, brokers in New York State. I mean, I just don't, I think that if you want to start tugging at that string, what you're going to end up with is stuff connecting back to the Clintons and stuff. Like, it just, I feel like it's going to be another drama. It's another season of Trump the show, right? And we'll argue about it endlessly and whatever. Maybe I'm just being cynical at this point. But then on the other hand, what you've got is, what was the other story that's interesting? I mean, I don't even know what this means. Is, I guess the Supreme Court upheld a Native American treaty in Oklahoma that the federal government signed with them, and it essentially cedes like half of the state back to the tribes. Is it plural? I don't know. So that's interesting, at least. I'm not quite sure how that's actually going to play out. I mean, like, can they now do tribal gaming like everywhere? Or are you not allowed to live in the reservation if half the state is a reservation? I don't know. It seems like it's probably another endless series of court battles over every aspect of, you know, Bureau land management, Forest Service, etc., land titles, deeds, leases, contracts. I don't know. I mean, it could potentially just be an endless battle. Anyways, but I wanted to talk about a tweet of mine that has gone, I want to say, semi-viral. It's got several hundred retweets and thousands of likes. And it's just a repost of a Carl Sagan quote. I wish I could quote the whole thing off the top of my head. I remember reading it when I first read his book, Demon Haunted World, Science as a Candle in the Dark. I mean, I read it first back in, 2007 or 8. And it's a wonderful book. It's one of my favorite nonfiction books. You give it to people and they read it and they like it, and it's got a lot of useful, you know, sort of critical thinking pieces of technology in it that kind of help you, And the quote is specifically about him being afraid of the future, where increasingly fewer numbers of people and, you know, corporations and organizations control more and more aspects of our lives, including technology and education. Our own government, the world becomes too complicated for our own government, our own elected leaders to even address the problems that we're facing. And our manufacturing and development and all that is outsourced overseas, and we as a society, I mean, I think he means America in general, but it could mean the West, it could mean civilization itself, I don't know, but let's say America, because the manufacturing slipping away to other countries sounds a little relevant, right? And again, he wrote this book back in like 1995, so yeah, it's prophetic and somewhat frightening. And then with our loss of our ability to think critically, we consult our horoscopes and clutch our energy crystals as the world descends into a new dark age. And And that's why there's not a U-turn sign. God. Worst drivers, I swear to God. I've driven in LA and drivers were better than Seattle. My God. Anyways. And I wanted to cross this with, the reason the post is doing so well is because it's a reply, it was an early reply to a Peter Boghossian, I'm going to butcher his name, Boghossian, tweet about wokeness and how what the woke are doing with their verbal shell games is destroying certain concepts that were hard-won, are essential to making the modern world function, and in some sense essential to people thinking. And I touched on this, I think, before, but it's things like attacking objectivity itself as a white supremacist, Western, chauvinist concept that harms people of color. And I am not kidding that I think it's the Seattle school districts adopted this inclusion policy around mathematics and decolonizing math. Now, I might just be repeating myself, but objectivity is not, it's bizarre, right? Objectivity is not something white people can do. Everyone can do it. And in fact, everyone has been doing it. It's called noticing what time the sun rises every day. It's called noticing the seasons changing. That's not a construct. You're not inventing that. That's happening because we live on a planet that's flying around a star in outer space, and the more you think about that fact, the more terrifying it gets. And then you have people saying that that is a racist construct that is somehow not real. Now, go back to the Sagan quote. Now, I think what he was talking about was people trying to resurrect, young Earth creationism and, calling it intelligent design, or, hucksters selling, holy water, over late night TV, televangelists and horoscope readers, psychics. I think that's what he was talking about. But we've now come all the way around where supposed progressives, and I guess liberals, those aren't necessarily the same thing, are talking about, making the sciences, the hard sciences, and mathematics in line with progressive values, like to make them more inclusive, and I just don't really know what to do with that. Again, mathematics, it's like there's one rock, you have two rocks. If you have 4 rocks and you take one away and throw it in the lake, now you have 3 rocks. Like, this is, you have 10 fingers and 10 toes. Unless you're one of the unfortunate people who has lost one along the way or didn't have one of those to begin with. My heart goes out to you. Maybe you lost an entire limb and now you only have 15, but still, you have individual fingers and toes. You actually have individual digits on each finger to count things, like discrete units of things. And I cannot wrap my head around this idea that looking at the world and seeing things as discrete individual units that you gather, that we agree upon, like I'll carry 10 bricks and you carry 10 bricks. This is not some racist conspiracy to oppress colored people or people of color or whatever, title you want to use. It's just nonsense, okay? And to count things like hours or I've heard it said that time management is a white supremacist construct, which is one of the more asinine things I've ever heard, and I want to try to hedge that. Like, I have seen it said that is so, and that this has been recommended in things like school curriculum, okay? And in corporate policies, okay? Now, if you want specific examples, I would have to go find these specific examples, but it's more than once, and it's not like, some obscure thing. It's official like city policy in some places, like here in Seattle with their decolonized math thing. Now, I understand it's a little ranty, but like I don't want young Earth creationists corrupting our science curricula. Okay, I don't want them doing that. I think that's a personal thing. That's a homeschooling kind of thing. You instill that narrative in your own children. We're going to go with what the science is telling us is the most objective thing, and, you know, it's that the Earth is really old, okay? I accept that science. Call me a agent of Satan or whatever if you want. That's what I'm calling it, all right? But I also don't want weird, distractionary, progressive nonsense already mucking up things that are already hard, okay? Mathematics is hard. The higher you get in it, too, the more and more complicated it gets, it will hurt your brain. It's the same with chemistry. I mean, I passed Chem 101 in college. I crushed lab, but lecture was magic to me. I was just like, I don't know what you're talking about. I'm trying to diagram things and do formulas, and I just can't make it work. But in a lab, oh boy, was that awesome. I love Chem Lab. Bio labs, or Bio 101, same thing. Lecture, a little spotty, a little iffy here and there. You know, but in lab, again, where's the pig's liver? Right there, right? I'm good at that stuff. But it's already hard. Now you want to introduce intersectionality into something that's already really complicated? I don't see how that helps literally anyone. Never mind people who just want to do science and math, I mean, and engineering and stuff. But how is that actually helping people of color or the marginalized people who are women and stuff who are underrepresented in things like STEM, as broad a constant, you know, statement as STEM? It's like, is this actually helping if you change the language around? Again, doing verbal shell games and hoping that it helps marginalized people. I'm going to say quote unquote marginalized. Not everybody's interested in science. It doesn't mean they're being marginalized. Them not being instilled with an interest in science is maybe an issue, but I would say there's probably not enough scientists in general. I mean, boys are dissuaded from doing things like science and are told to go do manual labor jobs. Go get a job in the trades, they say. Not get a job working in a laboratory doing research on, you know, nanotubes or something. We're all dissuaded from these things, on the one hand, because they're really hard. And if you try to do it, you might go to school and find out you're not smart enough to make it. And this is the thing I think people are most afraid of, is, never mind a racial breakdown, stay with me here, just the smartest people filter up to certain levels, and what happens is maybe the filtration system isn't working very well at the bottom level, like public schools in large urban centers where they're not funded appropriately and they're not effective. And you have school districts like Baltimore where kids graduate from high school and they're functionally illiterate. They are not going to go into a laboratory and start sequencing the DNA of, you know, octopi or whatever. This is just hard realities that I feel like we're not handling well. And again, I don't think that making sciences woke is going to help anybody. Again, especially the people that it's supposedly trying to help. The marginalized people and whatnot. Carl Sagan hit it on the nose. Maybe we're besieged on all sides, and this is every normal person's fight. You know, just normal people. I don't know what to say. All right, that's enough from me on wokeness for one day. Bye.